Hello everybody, today I'm going to be showing you some additional features that you can add to your game to improve it, like for example a health bar, a nice timer that doesn't look like scratched variables, a win-lose animation, a friendly like and follow reminder, and much more. I'm using the shooter game series that I'm making right now as an example to add those features, but you can start from any other game. I would be very happy if you could leave a like or subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out any videos. It's just a click for you and it would be so important to me. Thank you. Every game needs a health bar to show the player how many lives their character still has. As we have 5 lives in total, we're going to make 5 health bar costumes. So let's create a new sprite and call it health bar. Then name the first costume 5 and draw a rectangle, like I'm doing here, and try to have it the right size. Once you have the desired size, draw four bars in the middle or just in a regular distance between each other in this rectangle. Once you have that, you can fill in with a green color and no outline the health that the player will have. So for this case, as it's 5, it's all of those are going to be green, like that. I am showing you here, and then put that in the back, and it looks like that. Then duplicate that costume, and you call it 4, and then make one of those red. So with that costume, the player is going to have 4 lives. Oops, like that. Now repeat this process to have all lives until 1. Again, 1 green slot here represents 1 life. As in the game I am making currently the tutorial on, we have not when a flag is clicked forever, but we have when I receive game forever. So that's what I'm going to use for the code here. So don't be surprised if you don't have that. Just use your regular when flag is clicked forever. I needed to have when I receive game because we also have a home screen. Now that first code is very easy. Just go to your looks and then take switch costume to, and then go to your variables and take whatever variable it represents the lives that your player still has. So for me, it's player lives. And now we can test that. So we start the game, and as you see, we have here all the lives because we have 5 lives, and that's our maximum. If you have, for example, 10 lives in total, then you can have 10 slots or just have that one slot represents 2 lives. Just be creative on that. I have it like that, but you can also change it. So now let's set player lives, for example, to 3. And here you can see how that costume also changed. Now we can continue this code here. So we have, again, a thing that is not for you. That is if shop open equals no. That's something that you probably won't have, so just don't bother about that. So we're going to hide or show depending on that here. And then we will have if the shop open equals no, then, and you just have this regularly, so you put that in here. Go to X, then take the sensing, and then here switch that to player here, and then take X position of player. And for this, I just want to say that it's very important that you first set this to player and then you set this to X position, because otherwise you don't find here X position. So you first have to set that to player, and only then you can find X position. So we set X to X position of player and Y to Y position of player. And that's already it. So it's very easy to have that. You have here the thing following you around everywhere. If that's too close for you, which is the case for pretty much everyone, I think, you can have go to Y position of player minus 25, for example, and then it should look a bit better. Yeah, that's maybe even a bit too much, so let's change that to 20. That's too close, so 22. Just try around with the numbers. Okay, that's pretty good for me. Also, while playtesting, I realized that for the health bar, you need to sort them that way that it goes from 1 to 5 and not from 5 to 1. If you want some background music for your game, just download the music from the internet and then upload it here to your sounds, and then just have um, when flag is clicked forever, and then just go here and say play sound here until done. Done. Maybe you want also a win or losing screen animation. So for this, create a new sprite and call it win, lose, or whatever, and then have a rectangle again with maybe this brightness here, and make that over all of the thing that you can see, and then have inside switch it with I need to swap that, switch it with nothing, so with very light color, then set it to 0 0, and then you can write in there, you can write a message, for example, um, game over, and make it a bit bigger. Okay, that's too big. Like that. And as you see here, the white background is a bit too light, so I'm going to make it a bit darker like that. And then you can call this game over. Now do the same for when you win, so call this you win or something like that, and say here you won. And then don't forget to center it again. Now you need to make sure that in your game, whenever you lost or you won, there's a message that is being broadcasted. Like for example, when our um, player has less than one life, then it broadcasts game over. And then whenever we beat the final boss, we haven't got the final boss yet, but when we will have him, then the final boss is going to broadcast something like you won. When you won. Then there's another thing that is just for our game. So whenever we receive home screen, then I always have hide, stop other scripts in the sprite, stop this script. Here, no, duplicate that, and then stop other scripts in the sprite, stop this script. And we're going to have that also for the health bar. Okay, so when I receive you lost, when I receive game over, sorry, go to front layer, here, then set ghost effect to 100, like that, switch costume to you lost, or game over, I think, yeah, game over, then show, then repeat 10 times, change ghost effect by -10, here, and then wait 0.05 seconds. Then wait 1.5 seconds. Then repeat 10 times again. This time change ghost effect by 10. And then hide. After all of that, hide. And then broadcast home screen. Here. So what this is doing, it first has some kind of animation, and at the end it broadcasts home screen, and when it receives home screen, it's going to hide itself. Now duplicate that, and then create a new message for you won, and then just change one thing, change the, instead of game over, change you win. Now we can test that. So when broadcast game over, you have this animation, and then you get back to the home screen. Now we can try the whole game that we're doing right now. So we start, we still have that. Let's see how we can fix that. The reason why I had this bug is because I had two variables that were with the lives of the player, one called player lives, the other one called lives player. And I knew that I already had two of them before, like I have two shop opens, and every time I delete them, they're coming back. And this variable called animation also shouldn't be here. Okay, so sorry for my personal problems. Um, let's continue the with the tutorial. Another thing that might be cool to add to your game is some kind of advertisement. So create a new sprite and call it advertisement. And I'm actually not gonna create a new sprite because I already have that in my backpack. And for the graphics, you can just download them from the description. So I put that in here, and I'm just going to remove all of the code like that. Actually, I could keep this one. That's just for every single game that I have. I always have this code here. Okay, and then here in the costumes, you can see that I actually copied that art from another scratcher called Jus de Pomme, who made the Ratatouille platformer. So it's actually not my art. Okay, so as you see, the two here are called 1 and 2, the two costumes. And then here you have just your YouTube channel, you can change that. And here you have this basic favorite, like, and follow buttons. Okay, so now we can get to the coding. So when I receive game, or for you, when flag is clicked, then forever. Wait, pick random 20 to 25 seconds, or you can change that. But I would recommend not having too much advertisement because that's very annoying. Then switch to costume, and then again pick random 1 to 2. And then if costume name equals 1, and then have an if else. So if the costume name is 1, then go to X 240, 240, and Y 150. Sorry. Actually, you could also just take the costume number. Then show, and then repeat 45 times. Change X by 2. So it's going to hover in a bit, and then wait 2 seconds. And then repeat again 45 times, and then change that by -2. And then hide. Then duplicate that, and just change one thing. Here instead of 240, instead of 150, you have -120. And that's it. That's the only difference, actually. Oh, sorry. This here. Okay, so I'm just going to put away the waiting, just to test that. So let's try it out. So as you see, it's bad because it's the wrong way around. Let's just see. Okay. So this has to be -240. And I think now it should work. So let's delete that here. Okay. It's hovering in. It's going out. And then there's the same here. Yeah. So just put in the waiting, and then it should be better. Now you can play around with the values of it. And also I think the most important thing is actually a mistake. Instead of having 2 here, you first have to have -2, and then here you have 2. So just change these two. And then maybe put that -150. Just do it however you want. And then to test it, you can just pull out the individual code and click it. As you see, for example, this one is going a bit too much in to my opinion. So I'm just going to put in here like 30, and then you can test it again. I think that's still a bit too much, so maybe 20. Just do whatever you want with this. Another thing that you can change is the position of your advertisement inside of the costume. So if it doesn't always have to be centered, you can also, for example, put it here just to look if it's good or not. Okay, so once you have that, you can move on to the next improvement of your game, which is a real-time timer. You'll probably have a variable called timer in your game. We don't have one yet, but we can create it. And then you just go to your backdrops and have something like when I receive game, forever, wait 1 second, and then change timer by 1. Like that. I have animation again. I really don't know why they always come back. Alright, I just deleted all the extra variables that we don't need for about the 5th time or something. But now we can continue with the coding. So what you want to do is create a new sprite and call it something like timer. And then you go to the costumes and name the first costume 1, and then make a text, make it black, and then the only thing that's in this text is 1. And then you center that, but not so that it's really centered, but do it with your feeling how it's centered, because sometimes the center of the number is not really its center, because there's some extra white space down here. So center it just with your eyes and not with the cross that you have here. Now make 10 numbers in total, 1 to 9 and also 0. Once we have that, we can get to the coding. So let's take when I receive game here, then delete this clone, because we're going to create some clones and we really need to delete them, otherwise we're going to have a few problems. Then when I receive home screen, then delete this clone. When I receive items to buy, this is when we open the shop, and then we will set the brightness to 100. The reason why we do this, no, set the brightness to 0, sorry. The reason why we do this is because the shop is white, if you remember. Here we have the white, and we need to have this black thing on the brightness 0. And then when we receive delete items to buy, so that means whenever we don't have that here, I think we have it here. Whenever we close the shop, then we set it to 100. And also when we receive game, we set it to 100. So that means when we have the normal background, it's going to be white, and when we have the shop, it's black. So that you see the numbers better. That's the reason behind it. Also, go to your backdrops and get inside of this forever loop and if shop open equals no, because we don't want the timer to go on when we have the shop opened. So if the shop open is no, only then we have the timer counting. Okay, so take now a new when I receive game here, and then go to x 215, sorry, and y negative 160, and then set a new variable that we will call timer clones created, and this one is for all sprites. And what this is doing is it's counting how many timer clones have been created, like the name tells. And whenever we delete, one clone of this, then we will change the timer clones created by -1. And when we create one clone, we change it by +1. So it will always tell us basically how long the the string of the money. For example, if you have 100, then timer clones created should be free because there's 1, 0, 0, and that's free clones. And then we need another variable that is for this sprite only, and you call it clone number, like that. And you have it for this sprite only. That's very important because then every single clone will have its own variable, and that's the reason why we need for this sprite only. Okay, so then when we receive game, now we can continue. Then set timer clones created to 0, obviously because at the beginning we have no clones, and then forever. If the length of the timer, so if take a greater, and then take length of, and then take your variable that is called timer, is longer than timer clones created. So with value of, basically, if say we have $100 in money, or no, this is for the timer. I'm sorry. So say we have 100 seconds of we have played for 100 seconds, and we have created 0 clones. Then the length of the timer is going to be longer than timer clones created. Okay, now we need another variable, call it clone number. Sorry, and it has to be for this sprite only. That's very important. Then you have set, after continue this code here, set timer clones created to 0, and then forever if, and then take a greater sign, and then take length of, and then put inside the length of, put in timer, and then have greater than timer clones created. And I'm going to explain that in a sec. So if we have created less clones than we should, then we can tell it what to do. So basically, this operation here tells you that if, for example, the length of timer is 3, then we should have created 3 clones. But if we have created only 2 clones, then create clone of myself. That's the idea behind it. And then also just for the graphics and animation, we're going to have change x by -7 before that. And then also change timer clones created by 1, because then we have created one more clone. Because otherwise this would just run the whole time. That's why we need to change it by 1, because then, for example, if that was 3, if we had the length of timer was 3, so for example 100, and we only created 2 clones, then we create another clone, and then we have created, and then the variable that tells you how many clones have been created is also 3, so that we're always up to date. If you have any questions on this, then ask me in the comments, and I would like to help you, because I know that's quite complicated. There's a small but very important thing. You have to put the create clone of myself above this thing here. That's very important, because now we have when I start as a clone, and then set clone number to timer clones created. So basically, the clone number just tells you, is it the first clone? So for example, I'm just gonna have that in a comment. For example, if that clone is responsible for the tens, so it can be, if you have 210 seconds, then that particular clone that has the clone number of 2 is going to be 1. And therefore, the clone number needs to be the same as the timer clones created when it got created, so that it's the right value. If you don't really understand it, just follow me along, and then in the end you'll probably understand it. And if you don't, then you can still ask me in the comments. So then continue with a forever and then show and then switch costume to, and now there's quite a long code here. So you put letter 1 of Apple in there, and then you put in there a plus operator, then you put in there a minus operator inside of the left one, and then you put inside the left one again length of. Here, it should look like that. And then you can put in here, put in 1. Then you have here the timer on the last one, then clone number on the second one, and then again timer in the first one. So now let me explain what this is doing with an example. So if we have, for example, the timer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this one, the clone number is 2. Then actually I did a mistake. It doesn't switch to the second one. It doesn't switch to 2, but it switches to the second one if you count from behind, so 5. And as you see here, that's 5. If we set that, for example, 2, let's look at that, just any random number, then it should switch to 7, as the 7 here is the second number. Let's test it out. It's 7. So this code is working, but now you don't really understand how it's working, probably. So let's continue with this particular example. You have here length of timer. The length of timer here should be 5. Then you have minus clone number. Clone number is 2, so that means 3. Then plus 1, that is 4. And then it switches to the 4th letter of timer, which then is the second if you count from behind. If you change that to a longer number, say, oh, sorry, that's not a number, this one, it's 6, and it's still the second number from behind. And now we can just change that. So length of timer is 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Length of timer is 11. Minus 2 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. And 10 is, again, the second number from behind, which is 6, and this one is 6. Okay, so now we can try that. We put timer clones created again in there, so that it's not 2, but just really the right value. So let's put that away, and now click on start. And we have here 0. I don't really know. Oh, the reason why this is like that, it's because the real sprite is still showing. Let me just show you here. It's 2 above each other, but when we hide the real sprite, as you see, the timer is here, 17, 18, 19. Down here you have also the same value. It's just a bit too near together, but that's not really a big problem. Just change that to maybe -9. Okay, now it's too late. We need to start it again. So let's test. You need to wait. Alright, I think that's pretty good. So we can keep it like that. Alright, and now for the player sees a number here, but they don't really know what this number should represent. So go to the backdrops, and then create a second backdrop, and then put in there, with white text, put in sec, just write sec, like that, and then just put it somewhere where it doesn't really disturb you. Okay, so here you can realize that actually the timer is too far on the left, so let's have -150. That's maybe better. Oh, I changed the Y position. That was quite stupid. So change the X position to 205. Alright. And that's already better. So let's change the sec here again. And then create a second backdrop. You have 2 backdrops. One where there's sec written on. And then we can also create the $sign, because we're also going to have the same thing, the same numbers, but just to show how much money we have. So put that here. And then we have here in the code, when I receive game, and when I receive home screen. So when I receive game, then we use switch to backdrop 2, And when you receive home screen, then switch to backdrop 1. Backdrop 2 is with the things written on it, so when there's the game, you have nothing, and then these two things come. Alright. Now we're going to have a very similar code to the one for the timer to show the money. So you call this one money, and then you just replace every single time it says timer, replace with money, and every single time it says timer class created, replace with a new variable that is for all sprites called money class created. And that's it, and then it should already work. You don't even have to replace clone number, because since it's for the sprite only, it has created already another variable for us. Money, and then money, and then change the x position to maybe negative 185. And here, money clones created, that's very important. And just check if you have replaced everything. Yes. And now just start. As you see, this is 50. And if we set, for example, money to just a random number, that's a small problem, I mean, but I don't think that it's a very big problem. Okay, I just found a solution to this problem, and it actually makes the code even easier. You just put here, switch costume to letter clone number of money, and that's it. That should already work. Let's wait until that goes away. Here you have let's just show money, 45656, 45656. If I change that to 1, just anything here, that has also updated. So as you see, by making the code easier, actually we fixed the bug, so that's perfect. And now we just need to change that X position until it fits like that. Or maybe make it also the Y position changing here. Oh, that's even worse. Okay, I'm nearly done. Now change that. There we go. Okay, so up to now, if we want to test the code with the viruses, we always have to manually set wave to yes. Let me just show you. Only once we set wave to yes, only then the viruses come. They don't even, yeah, okay, now they're coming. I just thought that they wouldn't come at all. And so now we want to have a button that whenever we click the button, the wave is set to yes. For this, we need to create a new variable and call it boss number. And also another one and call it next attack. And then go to the backdrop and then have when I receive game. Then set boss number to 1. And then set next attack to wave. And then have forever. Then put in there if next attack equal, and then take an and then take 2 equals, and then you can have if next attack is equal to 0 and wave is equal to no, or to yes, sorry. Then we have another if else. If the boss number is smaller than 4, I will explain that in a second. So if boss number is smaller than 4, then set next attack to mini boss, and else set the next attack to big boss. So what this is doing, so next attack with 0 That means that we don't know yet what is going to be the next attack, whether it's wave, whether it's mini boss, big boss. And this is actually just to decide if it's mini boss or big boss, and we're going to have a code that decides if it's wave soon. Okay, but first make a new variable, I mean a new sprite, and call it a starter or something like that. And then just make some kind of button. Okay, so here, as you see, I have three costumes, one called Wave, one mini boss, and one big boss, and they have the text written on it, and it's a white square with round corners and a black text on it. Okay, so for those who program the entire game, just make sure to have this piece of code here, and then have when I receive game, hide, when I receive game, then hide, and then forever, take an if else, and have if shop open equals yes. That's also just for those who are making the entire game. If shop open equals yes. I have the wrong variable again. If shop open equals yes, then hide, and else if next attack equals wave, then show. Oh, sorry, I'm going to put in the variable here. So if next attack equals wave, then show switch costume to wave, and then if, and then take an and. If, sorry, I think that's an if else. I'm not sure. So if touching mouse pointer and mouse down. Mm, let's have it in an if else. Yeah, let's have it in an if else. So if touching mouse pointer, then set, where is it here? Set the brightness effect to -20, and else set it to 0. And then have inside the upper if else also if mouse down, then wait until not mouse down, and then set wave to yes. Here. Then set next attack to 0. And then hide. Sorry, hide. And then if the timer is... No, forget that. Alright. Okay, with that code we can already try it out. So we click on start. The next attack is wave. I'm just going to show here. It's always this first green thing that comes. I really don't know where that bug comes from, but I don't think it's very bad. So if wave, you have this here, and then you click on start wave, and then there is all of these guys here coming in, and now we can keep on coding. So then so just duplicate that, and then have if the next attack equals mini boss. I don't know how I spelled it, like that. Okay. If the next attack equals mini boss, then show switch costume to mini boss, and then if the mouse down, then set wave to no, and then set next attack to 0, and then we're going to broadcast a new message that should tell you mini boss. Yeah, also put away the set wave to no. That was stupid from me, and that's it. Okay, and then duplicate this one more time and put in there big boss. Switch that to big boss. and then we're going to broadcast Big Boss. Okay, and now we can put all of that next to each other. And now let's just have a temporary code just to see. No, actually not. Let's just keep it like that. Um, but I am going to put the difficulty on easy so that the waves only last 15 seconds. We'll also have to change the position for this. So, where is it? Here. As you see, when it's on easy, they're also slower. That's another feature that we did. Oops, sorry. Okay, and I also misspelled that. So now go on mini boss. And now nothing is happening because we don't have the bosses yet. But once we have them, we're going to have it that whenever we have the mini boss, and when we kill, we have the mini boss, and then there's like the fight. And when we kill the mini boss, then it's going to set wave. It's going to set the next attack again to wave, and then you can click once again on this button, and then it goes just 3 mini bosses, and then you have the big boss, and then the game is over. So I think a suitable position for this button would be X -180 and Y 150. Okay, so go to your backdrops and actually change the, instead of wave equals yes, change it to no. And then instead of having set next attack to 0, set next attack to wave for when there's the mini boss and you clicked on it. And same for the big boss, set that to, sorry, wave. And finally, I found another bug. You need to have inside there if, and then have if the clone number is greater than the length of money, then delete this clone. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something. If you came this far of watching, I'm very thankful. Please consider liking this video as it would be suggested to more people. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Anyways, see you in the next video.